What's going on, y'all? Scott here. Welcome back to the channel. Sorry we're a little late getting this up, but Survivor Season 46, Episode 2 recap aired this week, so let's just go into a quick recap over the episode. Over at Yanu Beach, Banu opens the episode worried about the game and asks Kenzie what he can do to make the merge. Seems like he's kind of spiraling a little bit here. She says Jess or Banu should go next in the little cutscene afterwards. Q and Tiffany say that Kenzie is playing kind of a follow the leader game. Says that she's nervous about everyone liking Kenzie since she's kind of, been making connections with everyone and basically just being friends with everyone, so worried about that, going forward in the game. Purple Tribe is really struggling to make fire or do anything around camp. Apologized to Jen, but saw the most pathetic attempt at cutting down a tree or a vine, something right there that was bad. Kenzie gets emotional and takes a minute to herself. She's, tired and deflated as, I feel like most people are at the beginning of this game, kind of maybe hit that wall and then, need to take a second to regather themselves and keep it moving forward. She takes a second to get her head back and hops back into the game. Over at the Orange Tribe Beach, Soda says she doesn't trust Venus. Venus knows that Tevin's at the top of the tribe, but she doesn't have a connection with him, really. Venus tells a story about her parents moving to Canada from Iran, and she's always wanted to prove that she hasn't always had anything hand to her, despite that, stereotype that people usually put on her. Over at the Green Tribe, Ben is able to get fire for them for the first time. Then we have Ben talking about his insecurities when he was younger and as a kid, and how he's got over them and is now playing music and playing festivals and shows. And we get a touching story about how he got over that and persevered to this point in his life. Tim, Charlie, and Ben say they want to work together with Maria since they do have knowledge of her having that extra vote from the journey in episode 1. But Charlie's Angels, as they called themselves, Charlie and the ladies on the tribe, have an alliance that already started, but Charlie seems to have the knowledge of knowing that if it's down to just the Charlie's Angels, as they call themselves, those 4, he would be that 4th one and he would be out. They would go with the 3 ladies moving forward if they had to choose. Charlie and Maria chat about a sub-alliance between them because they've both made connections on both sides of either alliance. They both like Malcolm and Denise, and they remind themselves of that in this alliance, so we kind of have a modern-day Malcolm and Denise here. Venus sees she's on the bottom over at the Orange Beach, so she doubles down to try to go find an idol. Rainen feels the same, that he's right at the bottom with her, so he goes and looks as well. Hunter is always out collecting firewood, as he says, so he uses that as an excuse to go look for an idol as well. Rainen actually finds the Beware advantage in the tree. He opens it, digs below to find the box, and same thing as in last episode, and I think we actually missed talking about that in the last episode, but basically a box with a hidden immunity idol inside, but you won't get the key to find the lock to get into the box until you lose a challenge. So he has no vote until he finds it. My question about this is what if, let's say, the Orange Tribe keeps winning until we have a tribe swap or we have a merge or something like that, and he doesn't end up at this beach? What happens? Does he still not have a vote for, ever until they maybe go back to that beach? I don't know. I'd be interested to see what happens in that scenario. Over at Yanu, the Purple Tribe, Jess is eating ants for I don't know why. Kenzie goes on a walk with Jess and Banu to try to be close with them and, try to maybe set up a small alliance there. I think probably try to break up the Q and Tiffany connection, even though she already is in a 3-person alliance with them, but kind of just keeping her options open is my guess. Jess said she needs to think more about it when Kenzie brings up the fact of, hey, can we go to Final 3 with us? And then as soon as Kenzie turns around to walk back, she kind of hits Banu and says we need to vote her. Her plan is to blindside Kenzie, as we see after that. She goes and tells Q what Kenzie said, so now Q is, questioning his alliance with Kenzie to this point. Over at the Green Tribe, Charlie says he was nervous about connecting with people here on Survivor, so he does a musical battle with Ben, who is obviously, as we mentioned earlier in this recap, into music. So they do a Taylor Swift versus Metallica battle, going back and forth, seeing how many songs they can name. Charlie wins 107 to 106, and he actually gets them as they correct the score 108-106 after he hits them with It Was the Great War. Over at Nami, the Orange Tribe, Tevin asked Liz if she would remarry, trying to have a real-life conversation here. She said it would be hard for her because there's a certain type of person that would need to be okay with them accepting the fact that she doesn't need them or doesn't need the money that she has because she has all these businesses. Just really interesting. It makes no sense what she's doing, really. She's saying she doesn't need the money, just wants the title. That's totally understandable. You can be completely set up in your life and, maybe not need the, financial gain from winning this game. but probably not the smartest thing to go around broadcasting that to everyone who, I'd say a majority of people who go on this game, that $1 million would do, amazing things for them and their family. So kind of an interesting strategy. Seems like, not making great social moves to this point in this game. Brandon says how he doesn't really trust anyone on the tribe, but says he's got to find someone that he can try to be comfortable with and try to form a small alliance with. He said, the person who I probably shouldn't be comfortable with the most is Venus, but he's going to try to make it work with her. And he ends up telling her about the advantage. Kind of a 180 spin here for Venus as well. She was feeling really down after the first couple of days of this game. Felt like, no one wanted her on the tribe, or she wasn't, finding any inroads in alliance. And now we might have a little two-person alliance going here. We'll see if it holds up. And I hope so, because we need my winner pick Venus here to start gaining some momentum in this game. Now it's challenge time. When the tribes walk in, they see Jelinski was voted out, and they start poking fun at Jelinski. And one of the jabs was there several reasons you voted him out? Obviously referring to Jelinski, thinking several meant 7, specifically. I thought it was pretty funny, but, you could tell the Purple Tribe was a little irritated by that. And I mean, they have lost both of the Marooning Challenge and the, first Immunity Challenge of the season, so they haven't got to win this season. They don't have fire, they don't have any food, any supplies, anything. So, I mean, that makes sense, but I think it was all just in good fun, just, kind of poking fun at Jelinski there. All in good spirits, though. Jelinski was a really fun player to watch, even though, maybe had some flaws in his game. Doppelgangers Liz and Mariah sit out. They even chat throughout the challenge. Thought that was pretty funny. At the end of the challenge, they have to build a word kind of arch type thing, and they have to build the blocks to get it to stand together, but they'll just fall until you get that last piece there in the center that holds everything together. Venus figures out the word pretty quickly, but can they get it up there first? Every tribe gets the word right, and now they're just trying to get that arch to stick up there. And I actually think I saw on Twitter, I believe it was, I forget the name of the account. It was the Rob Fact Checked account there on Twitter. But I think this was the longest they spent on a challenge since that challenge back in Ko Rong when Caleb was medevaced. So this was extremely hard. They all had it at times, almost got it there, then it fell down. Nami got it, but it's spelled wrong. The Orange Tribe, they got it, but it was spelled wrong, so they had to, flip some things around, rebuild it. Everyone's getting frustrated with each other. Orange gets the win, gets it first, and gets the fishing gear, the whole 9 yards. And then Siga Green gets it, and Yanu, the Purple Tribe, is going back to Tribal. And Siga Green also gets a smaller fishing kit. Banu was very animated and upset afterwards when Jeff is talking to them before they go back to camp. Tiffany said she's pissed and said she's going to keep her comments to herself, basically so she doesn't say anything that she regrets. Jess knows it's her that she's talking about because they were yelling at her during the challenge. Now, kind of a weird, jump here. We go back to the Orange camp, even though they had just finished first, but we see Venus is mad because she got her foot ran over earlier in the challenge because she felt like they weren't listening to her. She's like, y'all just go celebrate. I'm not in the mood to talk right now, basically. I'll talk later. Tevin was not happy with her, saying she's bringing the morale down. Venus and Soda chat, but it seems like there might be a little feud brewing between them. We see a couple instances where both the immunity wins they won. Venus grabbed the immunity idol, and Soda tried to grab it right from her hands, or took it right from her hands right away, and kind of just an awkward moment, really. So that's something to kind of put a pin in going forward here. Over at the Yanu beach, the Purple Beach, they get back and Tiffany is upset. She goes and takes a walk to kind of just, clear her head. Then Q goes off and Kenzie goes off as well, kind of different directions. Seems everyone's just, kind of upset after that, rightfully so, after that tough performance when they were right there. Banu says to Jess, it's me or you, because they were the only ones left at the camp. Tiffany was upset about, in her words, losing control. She doesn't want that perception that when things don't go her way, she can't keep her cool. But I think this was, rightfully so. In my opinion, I think she was right to, kind of lose her cool maybe a little bit. I don't think it was anything, crazy that she did. You're in the heat of the moment. You're trying to just win. But I know not all people are wired like that. But as she said, she didn't feel like them, specifically Jess, was taking it seriously, really. She was kind of jogging. Kenzie comes to chat with Soda to figure out a plan, and, come to find out that they actually made a fake idol for Jess to find so she won't play her shot in the dark, so she kind of feels comfortable. Only Soda, Kenzie, and Q are in on the plan. Tiffany talks to Jess and is like, I'm going to look for idols, shouldn't feel safe, we should all go look for idols. And Tiffany literally led her right over to where the idol was, and she still couldn't find it. So they changed the plan. Q gives her the fake idol because he has had a, kind of a little bit of a relationship with her, a good alliance where Jess feels like Q is her number one. So Q ends up giving her the idol and tells her you have to vote for who he wants to go out. Q kind of wants Kenzie out though, so he really has a choice of who he wants to go home. Jess begins to question if the idol's real, questions Q about it, and Q's like, fine, give it back. And she's like, no. Tiff and Kenzie seem pretty confident that Jess will go home, so that makes me kind of think like, oh, is something gonna, happen here the last little bit? And at Tribal Council, Banu doesn't like the fact that his name is out there because people thought that he was maybe being too emotional. Q and Tiff talk about how Kenzie might be intimidated by their relationship and that, they might be each other's number one and Kenzie wants Tiff to be her number one. So, that could be a reason to vote her out as well. So they chat about that here for a little bit before we go to Tribal. Then at Tribal, Jess kind of throws Kenzie under the bus for not talking strategy with her and kind of just calls her out. Seems like kind of just some parting, swinging for the fences. Here, Kenzie was like, no, I, really didn't. I didn't want to talk strategy with you. Banu goes off because he was upset. People thought he was being too emotional, as we saw back at camp. Now he just brings it out in this setting. And then basically comes out saying that he's close. Now this is back-to-back tribals that he's done this. Basically come out saying that he's close with Tiff, Q, and Kenzie. And Jeff even says, like, calls him out, but, hey, you're putting your game out there, like, who you're close with, like, what kind of strategy is that? Like, Jeff really didn't say that, obviously word for word, but that's basically what he was like, hey, you're literally putting your game out there, like, why do you feel so confident in doing this? Or questioning basically his thinking behind it. And Banu says that Jess and him only connected yesterday. Just a very interesting situation. And, the faces on, the rest of the tribe was pretty funny. Q kind of says to Banu, like, yo, you got to keep your emotions in check. Then after that little exchange, Q says to Jeff, it's time to vote. Banu then goes, asks Kenzie, asks Tiff, asks Q, like, okay, is the plan the same? Like, who are we voting for? Are you voting for me? Like, and then they vote, and then Banu's name gets called first, and he starts grabbing his stuff because he's like, yep, it's me. But then it's 3 straight for Jess, and she goes home. So then it's like, it was kind of all for nothing. And I think that was a very interesting tribe dynamic there. See how long they keep it going. If they lose another one, they'll probably have to do a tribe swap or some sorts. Here in the next episode or two, if they lose another one and they're down to 3 members, and we'll see what happens next week. Thank you all so much for watching. See you in the next one. Peace out.